Canada and 6 European countries in condemning Israel's advancement of plans to build additional illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank. On Tuesday, the Israeli government issued a new tender for the construction of more than 1,000 illegal housing units as part of that E1 settlement plan. In a statement, leaders of Canada, the UK, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Norway said the international community has long opposed this expansion and has voiced their grave concerns privately and publicly. International law is clear that Israeli settlements in the West Bank are illegal. We urge the government of Israel to retract these plans immediately and end its expansion. Let's go to Nida Ibrahim, who's live for us in Crédito in the occupied West Bank. Nida, this statement from those countries on the E1 settlement, they're saying that this will undermine the prospects of a two-state solution by driving a wedge through the West Bank. Could you explain that for us? Why is specifically this E1 settlement so damaging to the prospects of a Palestinian state?
Because exactly, it cuts the occupied West Bank into two separate halves, the southern part and the northern part. And that gap in between would be filled by illegal Israeli settlements. So imagine it as a building block that is stopping Palestinians from getting, for example, from Ramallah to Bethlehem, from Nablus to Hebron. They would be completely cut by this massive block of illegal Israeli settlements. And even one of the ideas that has been floated by the Israelis is to get Palestinians underground tunnels to be able to move from one city to another. This further fragments the future Palestinian independent state as it cuts it in half. But it's also a reminder of how Israel has been using these illegal settlements as a strategic way. They are very well placed in a way to prevent Palestinians from ever having a Palestinian state. This is not something that is fringe. This is a policy of the Israeli government, has been advanced by the Prime Minister, who promised his people that there never will be a Palestinian state. And you also have the Israeli Finance Minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who is effectively responsible for the occupied West Bank. And he's also been promising his constituents, his audience, that he will never allow this to happen. And that surge, the surge of illegal Israeli settlement building is being done strategically to prevent Palestinians from ever having their own state. Thing that is seen is very damaging to this two-state solution, and that's why many governments, including the US in the past, have been working against the E1 plan because of how it affects the future Palestinian state. But as we are approaching Israeli elections, it seems that everyone now in Israel is interested in showing to their audience how much and how far they're willing to go to undermine Palestinians' possibility of having their own state.
Nida, in this statement, those countries also called on construction companies not to bid for the contracts to build these settlements, warning they could actually be involved in breaching international laws.